Welcome back, and we're starting with the first F in the 5 simple steps in the property flipping process. 5 Fs. Let's start with the most important one: how to find property. So a property flipper works super hard in the first F because finding the property, completing the market research, and buying right is the way you make the money. That's where the money's made, and if without doing this properly, you potentially will come at the end and it'll be too hard to make money because there's not enough disparity between purchase and unrenovated market value and renovated market value. So be aware, this is where you take note. The fine component of the property flip is where the money is made. And there's 2 parts of find. Let's speak about the first one of the most important ones: market research. And what that's about is, we'll break it down into 2 parts. It's about knowing everything that there is to know about the suburb, but working from an online space. So we don't even need to step into the suburb, and we can learn all about this online, the stats about the suburb and what's happening in the suburb. So we can talk about median price in the suburb, the days on market, how long it takes to sell a property, how many buyers are interested in that suburb, is it more or less than the state average, how many properties sold in the last month, in the last 12 months, and how many properties are on the market, because we want to know what's your competition. And then the disparity between unrenovated and renovated properties. Is there a large amount, or is it only an unrenovated property only sells 50 grand less than a renovated property? All really important things to know. Getting your feet, getting yourself under the table with this, understanding that you're a professional in the space you're going to be working in. It's important that we nail market research. And in regards to the second part, we want to know everything about the suburb when we're on the ground and we're actually in that suburb. And we can learn through going to open homes, talking to real estate agents, and just walking around the suburb, having a look at what it feels like, what streets are in really good condition, what streets are are looking a bit poor, and where do the sales come from that are really, really high? Is there a certain part of the area that's really high? Or is it closer to the water? Is it closer to the main road? Is it closer to a certain park? What is it? You need to know all this kind of stuff. So things we can consider and find out when we're speaking to real estate agents, we can figure out why properties sell for the price they do. Why do those properties get that price? If you want to know, ask the agent who sold it. They'll tell you. You can walk through properties and straight away you're going to know what their market value is once you've been doing this a little while. You can understand what budgets buyers have in the suburb. Did you know that if you go and buy in a low price suburb and then you renovate that property and put it so far up, you may find that market value you're trying to get it to have is just not going to be obtainable by the buyers who are coming into that area looking for lower priced property. Understand your buyers' budgets. Understanding what features your buyers want. Do they want a gas cooktop compared to an induction cooktop? Those kind of things. Understand any objections that buyers are going to have. Is the property next to a main road? Is it under a flight path? Is it across from a school? What kind of person is coming to buy in that area? And then what is important to them? Find that out. Checking out the suburb, as I've said, and understanding the segments of the suburb. So where is there differentials in price depending on what part of the suburb you're in? Understand that if there are any. And understanding anything that will impact your sale price. Because other things that you could consider would be looking at what the street looks like. Is there any state housing in that street? Is there public transport close by to that villa you're looking at doing for the downsizer who needs transport to the shops? All these things, you want to make sure that you're all over it, that there's not going to be any objections or items that will impact your final sale price. Now, there's a lot more that you could go through in market research, but that's a quick taster of what property flippers would be looking at. Now, your lead generation strategies, the second part of the market research and finding property. We're looking at 3 different ways that you can find properties that are potentially able to be bought, renovate, and sold. Whether they're sold on for a profit, that's a different story. But it's just going through properties and finding the right one. I've been told it's like going to one of those gumball machines, like the old gumball machines where you put the coin in and then you'd pick one, it would drop down the little slide. That we're not looking for all the blue gumballs that are in there. We're looking for the one red one. the one that's hidden in there. We need to go through enough properties to actually find the one that's going to make us money. Now, so let's speak about these 3 lead generation strategies, and let's speak about the first one, the on-market strategy. This one's going to be, you're going to find it on realestate.com, domain.com, property.com, whatever it may be. It's online, it's been listed with a real estate agent, and it's put out for sale. So this is your lowest hanging fruit, and it's easily able to be found from the comfort of your chair or your lounge room at night while you're looking over online portals. However, just be aware, while that is the lowest hanging fruit, everyone else can see it too. So you're going to have competition in securing that property, especially with the way the market is at the moment. Now let's look at pre-market. So pre-market is all about properties that have been potentially listed with an agent, or maybe they're in their prospecting pipeline and they're coming up, that you want to know about. Because if you can buy it pre-market, you're going to eliminate a lot of your competition. How do you do that? Well, you need to be talking to real estate agents. So you can't just sit on the couch with that. You need to be able to speak to real estate agents, find the properties, follow up to make sure you're, invited to come and see it pre-market. And that way you'll minimize your competition. Just be aware though, just because a property's pre-market doesn't mean it's always a good deal. Okay? So there's not always a good deal, but if it is a good deal and there's no competition, great, you want to be in. Now, off-market, these are properties, there's no real estate agent, we're buying directly from the homeowner, and this is where, when a homeowner may allow a real estate agent to be cut out of the process, you maybe have to secure the property lower than market value. Or maybe there's some terms in the condition that you can actually organise to make it a bit better for you, or a bit better for the homeowner. So there's lots of different ways you can look at it, but developers have been doing this for years and years, going and buying directly from the homeowner and cutting the real estate agent out. And once the real estate agent's cut out with their negotiation skills and their marketing skills and their ability to put it online, generally you're probably going to get a pretty good deal here if you find the right one. Now you may wonder, Damien, why would a homeowner do this? Why would they sell their property to me privately when the market's so hot? Well, there's many reasons why. There's many reasons, and things could include they don't like real estate agents. Their privacy is more important. They don't want home opens. Maybe it's a deceased estate going through probate. Maybe they're embarrassed on the condition of the property. They want to renovate it, but they can't afford it. Maybe they want to save advertising money. Or maybe it's something to do with illness or mental capacity, stress. You just don't know. You don't know what's happening behind closed doors. Now, let's jump into a case study. This one's quite interesting. This was our first flip in Melbourne, in the suburb The Basin. It was a 4x2x2 on just over 740 square metres. And this property, it was a storm-damaged house. We were actually in a townhouse. It was a new build townhouse that an agent was selling. And we went in there because I just wanted to look at the standard expected of renovation for a new build in that area, because I wanted to see, okay, is there a few things I can actually steal off this that I like the look of that I'll use in my own renovations? So we went in there, we spoke to the agent, and he actually said, well, look, this isn't something you can renovate, which is no surprise. It's a newly built townhouse. He said, but I've got this one down the street. He said, it's just come on the market. He goes, I don't know if you've seen it, which we hadn't, but they were trying to sell it pre-market, so we're probably a week too late. But with this one, we bought it for $740,000. We spent $90,000 on renovation, and then we sold it at $975,000. So as you can see, we actually put this little pathway in with the plants just to give it a front door entrance, put the fence up just to make it look like an owner-occupier property rather than a rental. Just gave it a nice feeling from the front. And then, as we go into the lounge room, here it was, as you can see. So it was storm damaged. There'd been ceilings taken down, walls that had to be re-gyprocked, a lot of damage, flooring removed. And here we go. Look at that. What a standard. A really, it looks like a new home when you look at the window coverings, the new fire, the flooring, the painting, the lighting. Everything's been completed, and renovation always works in combination. So if you just do one item of renovation, generally it's not going to deliver you obviously the highest sale price compared to doing all of it, but it depends on what you're doing. But with this one, we did a full renovation. So yeah, really nice lounge room there. And in the kitchen, as you can see, it's been completely ripped out. We had to replace it. And look at that. So that was actually an IKEA kitchen. And a lot of people have asked me, well, Damien, why did you put this wood top on here? The reason why we used a wood top is we like to take some of that suburb and bring it inside. This was, if you know the basement, it's a leafy suburb, very hillsy, and it just had a great feel by having that wood throughout the home. So there you go. There's one example of something being bought on market. As I said, it was pre-market due to the condition. We ended up getting there just a little bit late when we were talking to that agent. But you just never know when you speak to an agent what they're going to have for you. That you may think you've had, 9 agents tell you, no, we don't have anything today. You go to that 10th one, you persevere and you find something. So I hope that's given you just a little bit of an understanding of what you need to consider when doing market research and doing and looking the lead generation strategies to find property. Let's jump into the next video, which will be our video regarding feasibilities. I'll see you there.